I was halfway through my first cup of coffee when I heard it. Not birds, not wind, a chainsaw chewing through metal like a wild animal. I stepped onto the porch, and there she was. Sloane Whitaker, president of the Silver Mesa Estates, HOA white suit, red lipstick phone in one hand, like she was hosting a show, bright orange saw in the other. She cut straight through my irrigation riser's sloshed diesel across the pump house, then climbed onto my old tractor and slammed a sledge into the housing until the fan guard folded. Capped it all by flicking a flare into the diesel slick and smiling at her camera. If someone set fire to your mortgage and your memories at sunrise, what would you do? Call and wait, or move. My name's Mason Cole, out of Sand Rock, New Mexico, where mornings are honest and people wave with their whole hand. My granddad carved Cole Ridge Ranch out of this caliche in 1919, back when you could pay for a bolt with eggs. And 2 years ago, my wife Lena taught me how to balance grief with chores before cancer took her. Our kids Grace and Nate grew up with weather apps and socket wrenches, and this land is more than income to us. It's proof we kept showing up dust or flood. Good prices or bad. It didn't start with flames. It started with an envelope. Certified letter embossed logo. Agricultural odor citation. Daily penalties. Cease manure in 30 days. I called the number and Sloane answered. Sweet as yoga music told me they were curating a lifestyle, that my agrarian practices didn't fit their wellness goals. My parcel had been roped into HOA boundaries years ago by a sloppy filing, and my lawyer buddy Parker spread deed chains across my truck hood. And sighed, "You're in their map, Mason. Unless we prove fraud, you're stuck in their sandbox." Then came the yellow measuring stick, and the photographer who wished he was shooting a wedding. Sloane marched the property line like a drum major, pressed the stick against my sorghum, and announced, 7 feet 11 inches. Standards cap at 7. You're blocking our mountain views from the pool deck. I said, "Ma'am, that's how sorghum works. It grows." She smiled like a blade handed me a 1,000-a-day threat and floated off in her white SUV. You know what I mean. Some people walk like the ground belongs to them. A week later, a black SUV did slow figure eights through my alfalfa under moonlight rows crushed like a Zamboni had practiced. Insurance asked one question. Intentional. And when I said yes, they said it wasn't covered. Yeah, that happened. So I tightened up, filed under right to farm, hung cameras like Christmas lights, moved papers to a fire safe, started saving screenshots like a teenager with a crush. Sandrock made a choice too. Irene at the feed store built a Facebook group called Keep Sandrock. Growing folks showed up with fence pliers and casseroles, and our blue heeler Scout developed a sixth sense for white SUVs barking 40 seconds before one hit our road. The kids turned it into a joke, then an app, Sloane Watch, and suddenly the town had radar. Sloane packed a meeting with matching polos and tried to ban agricultural machinery within 500 feet of any residence, 18 days before harvest. I said, "Ma'am, a combine is a residence this time of year." She said, "We have a 60 decibel cap. Whisper to your crops, Mr. Cole." Irene stood in back with a folder and a voice sharp as wire. "Before you vote, Ms. Whitaker owes a number with 6 zeros in California and needs our property values high to keep her lenders off her porch." 2 board members remembered dentist appointments. The resolution died without a thump. You'd think she'd cool off. People like Sloane don't cool off. They change lanes. A man in a suit approached me at a courthouse rally, handed me a folder thicker than a church cookbook. Torres, California Attorney General's office. Bank records, emails, notes in Sloane's handwriting. she'd borrowed against imaginary future revenue from converting my ranch to townhomes promised investors triple returns once I was assessed into a corner. My stomach dropped, and the sky tilted. This wasn't petty power, it was a business model. Next came the rezoning hearing. Coffee and fear. A Phoenix consultant sweating through a three-piece lecturing commissioners about inefficient land use. My friend Halverson, retired county extension, walked up in boots that had touched dirt and held up a mason jar. This is Coal Ridge soil, prime. Turning it into patio homes is like melting a violin for spoons. I played stills from my cameras. Sloane leading hard-hat men through my barley, pointing like a realtor in a place she didn't own. She leaned in and patted my arm. "You're clinging to a hobby." Mason, highest and best use will have its day. That night, I dug through Lena's boxes and found a dog-eared folder labeled water. Senior rights to Cottonwood Wash, recorded in Granddad's neat cursive. First in time, first in right. I sent scans to a Santa Fe water lawyer, Marisol Vega, and she whistled. "If this is real, your rights are senior, when Water's short juniors shut off, period." I slept for the first time in months and woke to line sliced at 3 a.m. with surgical neatness. 18 grand in damage water. Hissing into dust like a bad diagnosis. Sandrock showed up before sunrise ladders in the dark zip ties between teeth. Scout ferrying gloves like a foreman, and we rebuilt in 8 hours. Judge signed a restraining order that afternoon. Regional news ran David versus Goliath by dinner. Then the twist inside the twist. In my basement, 2 maps. The original HOA boundary filed with the county red line tracing Silver Mesa's edge, and a second map that had swallowed my ranch like an afterthought. Different pen-paper handwriting mailed months later, after hours. I called Parker and the refrigerator. Hum got loud while he said, "If she mailed altered records, that's federal." We turned the kitchen into a war room. Marisol with Posol and a whiteboard. Parker with highlighters. Sheriff Deacon Miles with a cooler and a warning. Cornered folks don't go quietly. Fire arrived first. My equipment shed lit at 3:41 a.m. Volunteer department saved what they could. Roof fell with a hiss were patterns on the floor. Cameras 2 miles away caught a drop-off. A man with cans, a familiar SUV waiting. And while I hosed down embers, Sloane was at the county office pushing a thick envelope at the prosecutor and asking if Sandrock could look the other way. He was already wired with the feds. Sometimes the good guys get the jump. By Sunday, I had a condemnation notice claiming my farmhouse violated codes older than the house, a bot swarm calling me unstable, and private security trucks at dawn with men in vests telling me I had 30 minutes to vacate. The Murphy twins were live streaming from the Haystack neighbors. Poured-in state troopers rolled up, and Sheriff Deacon said in his bullhorn voice, "Gentlemen, you have 60 seconds to leave or be arrested for armed criminal trespass." Cameras blinked. The commander blinked. The trucks backed out. Sloane arrived late. White suit, perfect hair age, set to 11. "You peasants are lowering our values!" she screamed, and Scout planted himself between her and my porch, steady as a fence post. The internet did what the internet does, clipped and looped, but I was looking past the likes to Monday night special meeting lights on at the courthouse and a room full of people who finally wanted the truth to walk in. Parker set 2 foam boards on easels. Original map, altered map. Even the back row could see ink and pen pressure and handwriting. And Marisol explained water. In words that landed first in time, first in right. meaning the pools and pumps at Silver Mesa function at Mr. Cole's discretion, not the other way around. The county prosecutor stood and said the words softly: mail fraud, document fraud, bribery conspiracy. Federal agents present. Sloan exploded. Lie, pointing at me like I invented gravity to spite her. And Judge Miller banged the gavel. Dissolved the HOA incorporation based on fraudulent filings. Voided every action against me. 2 agents rose, read Sloan. Her rights kept it polite and kept moving. The room hummed like a hive. I waited for the clapping to die and said, "If you stood with my family, thank you. If you helped harass us parked on my easement mocked Lena's scholarships here. Hear this. Cottonwood Wash runs through my gate. It has for 100 years, and I know where the wheel is and how it turns." 2 mornings later, I walked with Deacon to the old dam granddad's iron wheel half buried in mud. "You sure?" he asked. I nodded. We spun it. The gate groaned like an old bull standing. The wash took a breath and ran full. 10 million gallons is a number until it isn't. Trenches at Silver Mesa filled in minutes. A bar disappeared, forms leaned, a footing, burped, and sank. And somewhere a foreman threw his hard hat into the mud. If you're feeling bad for the machine, I get it. I felt a little bad too. Funny thing, when we stopped forcing water into pipes that never should have existed, the wash stitched itself back together. Willows pushed green. A heron glided in on stilts. Beavers shoved logs like crewmen. Trout nosed into pockets that hadn't held water in years, and folks came to watch life happen. Then came back with trash bags and cleared glass from the bank. 6 months later, we hung lights under cottonwoods and held a harvest fair. Food trucks lined the road. Irene sold out of kettle corn by noon and bought a new baler. And we gave the first Lena Cole scholarship to a girl named Maria, who wants to go to college and come back to keep farms as farms. People ask if opening that dam was revenge. It wasn't, it was a reset. Water follows gravity and law, and bullies count on quiet. Maybe you think HOAs are fine, and farmers should adapt. Maybe you think luxury pools beat barley and beef. Maybe you think I should have chosen the high road. Whatever that means. When someone douses your pump house and smiles for the camera, tell me where you're watching from. Tell me the line you see between property rights and community. Did I go too far? Spinning that wheel or not far enough? Drop your story in the comments. Call me right or wrong. Keep it honest. Somebody out there is facing their own Sloan right now, and your words might be the thing that gets them through the night. If you want more stories with real stakes, hit subscribe. And if you've got a land grab or HOA tale that needs daylight, send it in. We'll keep the coffee hot and the truth louder than the chainsaw.